In this video, I'm going to show you step by step about how to create a fantasy RPG world for your D&D campaign or any of your other tabletop RPG campaigns. Now, realistically, there's two main ways of doing this, where you start small and you build outwards, or you start very broad and then zoom in on a very particular subject. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to start small and build outwards because that's what I personally like to do. But let me know in the comments down below if I should make a sequel to this video and talk about the other half of doing it and how I have approached it in the past. The first thing, before I even come up with the nitty-gritty details of what's happening, is to get inspired. And I know we've all heard about that. You need to find what you're interested in. Are you running a Dragon Age campaign? Are you running a Lord of the Rings campaign? Wild West campaign? Whatever it is, focus on what I'm interested in. Am I interested in a tavern? Am I interested in political structure of a fine palace? This could be anything small to large, but I would definitely focus on that because it will get me more motivated. Now from there, I want to focus on the bigger roles. For instance, let's say I was doing a town, just an average town, not a village, not a city, but just a town. What would be the purpose of this town? Is it an agriculture town? Is it a mining town? Is it just a stop in the road that people come visit and people from all over just trade here for no reason? Focus on these types of aspects and build occupations and characters that could fit these roles. For instance, if I was doing a city, there would definitely be a king, there would be a lawmaster, tavern owner, and there is definitely a blacksmith. From there, you can branch out to more and more occupations. Possibilities are completely endless. Now you want to focus on creating the terrain. Now, creating the terrain personally comes to what kind of maps I'm more interested in making. Right now, I'm running a world where a lot of it is desert, but my players are in that one portion where it's all forest. Yeah, that kind of happens. And based on those terrains, you can make monsters and encounters. If you use Kobold Fight Club, which is Kobold Fight Club, you can actually organize it based on the setting. There you go. Now I know all of the creatures that are in that setting. It's very easy, very handy when it comes to world building. The thing I want to focus on here is just the roles, because names should be last. Now, a lot of energy is used in creating a name out of thin air, and we've all had those experiences where we call our NPCs the most random names like Samuel or Philip or Trevor or Karen. You know, like these names are just generic. They fit anybody and you can just throw them out there because your players got the leg up on you. Personally, I like to use placeholders instead until I come up with some grandiose name. Coming up with those names, I like to use fantasy name generators. I like to look at maybe Old London. Maybe I want to look at maybe more Celtic names. Or also, what's great about fantasy name generators is that there are also fantasy names that you can come up with. So highly recommend it if you are in a bit of a pickle for names, because that's something that I really struggled with. We have NPCs, we have our setting. Now the big part is interactions. NPCs should interact with each other. You can have a world, a sandbox for your players to play in, but if the world isn't responding to the player's actions, then it isn't really a world. It's just a sandbox. Imagine a bunch of toddlers playing in a playpen, and the toys would react to being held and being tossed around and all of that good stuff, right? This is fun. However, it would be more interesting and very, very astounding if the toys can interact with each other and react to people that are holding them. And that is the plot of Toy Story. So you want to have fun, interesting interactions between players and NPCs and other NPCs. Finally, we have interactions, but the best way to make interactions is to create quests. I know we have this whole like job board thing where there's just a board randomly in the middle of nowhere and people just put little jobs on there, and then it's like a way for a low-level party to make some money. That's great and all, and you can definitely start out that way. There's nothing wrong with starting out that way. However, you definitely need to spice it up as the journey continues. You want the NPCs to approach the party at some point. What kind of problems would these places have? Maybe a tavern owner has a person that is overdoing their stay and is no longer paying for that room, and that person needs to be thrown out. The tavern owner can hire the party to remove these hooligans from vandalizing their property. You could also have a monster hunt or an herbal hunt where there's a poison, one of the children is sick with some sort of disease, and there's a rare lotus flower in Death Valley where the monsters are and they can't, so they hire the adventurers and then they go off and go on their adventure. And who knows down the line whether or not these people will become important to the party, but they will know that the city is alive, the town is alive, and the people that they're dealing with are actual people.